Hello and welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Eric, joined once again with
Bevan. How you going, guys?
bringing you some more Dallas season 6 episodes 4 to 6. Tell me over the credits and we'll chat. All right, we're getting in it. Dusty returns. My Dusty. My relationship is ruined now with Dusty and Sue Ellen in the next episode.
I sort of wonder, was that just does he just sort of guest star here and then show up later in the season? Because I feel like I don't remember all of season 6. That's all. I remember like the main points, but I just can't remember if he sticks around for a while here.
I,
Because I don't think he
I
does.
think he's done for now, and I think he returns when Sue Ellen's at her low point. I think.
Yeah, around 8, season 8. Oh, sorry, I'm not.
Yeah, maybe
Like,
toward the end
yeah,
or
I do
early
remember
9. I forget.
that sort of stuff. But I was sort of, I
Yeah,
don't know. It just felt like a resolution, like they were closing off the Dusty Llewellyn thing.
yeah. For I guess for now.
Oh yeah, for now.
Um,
But like just the way that episode played out, like yeah.
yeah. Um, Disappointing for me, but I get it. Whatever. So it's called the first one's called, or episode 4 is called the Big Ball. This would be the first oil barons ball that we witness.
Yeah.
Um, JR and Holly are on her yacht. He wants to know if she's doing what he says. He doesn't care about anything else. He's just going to run things the way he run things, and you do what I say, type shit.
Pretty much.
That was annoying.
He's just steamrolling her really.
Yeah,
Because he
and
knows
Holly has no choice but to be steamrolled because she doesn't know how to run the business. Unfortunately,
yeah. She doesn't really know how to
um,
fight effectively in turn well not fight back, but just like essentially like be staunch back, because that's what he's doing. He's doing the stand over. She needs to stand over back, but she can't.
yeah, and I think that's the fun of this season is because like
Mhm.
Holly does get balls like mid-season, and then it like she deals with JR better than other people, and for being
Yeah.
like young and naive or naive, as she seems to be right now, she gets stronger through the season.
Well, I don't actually think she's naive. I think she's naive as far as business goes, but she already can
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
as the oil business goes, but she can only
right,
tell Jazz doing something. Like she gets the wrong vibe, and it's entirely exactly the fact that he is steamrolling her the way he is.
yeah. So Dusty comes riding in on his horse to Sue Ellen. Um, she's like by the water or something, and they awkwardly talk and catch up. He seems like he's holding something back, which we obviously know he is.
Yeah,
Um, he's like, I wanted to call, but I couldn't. And he also says, I never felt like for anyone the way I feel for you. And I was like, that's why I love them so much. And I get it, like what needed to happen, whatever. But I still don't care. I just love them as like the romance of it all for me.
yeah,
Um, Ellie comes home with her dress and Mavis. JR talks to Mavis. Of course, he puts it in her head about the jock scholarship.
yeah,
Now that Ellie's going to Oil Baron's ball, let's get shit
yeah.
rolling. Um, JR. I'll have to talk. I'll talk about this later with JR.
Okay.
Um, they are waiting. Oh yeah, that's what Mavis says. Like they're waiting until like maybe next year to do it because they don't want to
Yeah.
push Miss Ellie. And he's like, "Oh, okay." So in that moment, I feel like he's like, "Okay, I'll talk to the man in the family because that's JR's thinking."
Yeah. Pretty
As he meets up with Punk later on. Ryan,
He was very delicate with the way he was talking to Mavis, though. Like he didn't say too much and too little. Like you sort of know that he's trying to push for Jock's declaration. Death
like,
declaration.
yeah, like he was probably gonna try to like get her to like say something to Punk, but since she was like, no, we're not doing it this year, he's like, all right, I'll just go to Punk.
Yeah, I'll just do that then.
He plays, you know.
Yeah,
Ray and Donna are at Aunt Lil's. You love Aunt Lil.
I do. She's lovely.
She is. She's a good actress. Um, Dusty and Sue Ellen get to the house, and she meets Dusty's wife, Linda. So yeah, as this was playing out, I'm like, he had to like hear that Sue Ellen decided to marry JR, and I'm sure it was in the paper because all the Ewing bullshit is in papers.
I'm pretty
And
sure he
this,
listens to that too.
yeah, and this is what drove him to like just like marry this woman. And then he does say to Sue Ellen, like, I knew her my whole life, you know, and it wasn't anything like that. I guess basically had to move on with his life, and that's what he had to do so.
Yeah.
She knows all about Sue Ellen, so he like talked to her about her. So I guess it's like a best friend in a way.
Mm.
And Linda's made some remark like, "Oh, I'll name my first girl after you," to Sue Ellen, and I was like, "That's not weird.
That
She's
is
a weird
incredible.
girl."
Yeah,
That's
it was a weird thing to say.
incredibly weird. Yeah. Clayton says he didn't know, so I'm guessing. Do you think he didn't know that he got married? I guess not, because Dusty probably just did it on a whim.
I'd say married, yeah. He probably would have just thought, like, he would have known that they were probably hanging out together and everything, but probably not to the extent that it was. Like, then he wouldn't have known about the marriage.
Yeah. So here comes Michael slash Mickey, riding on his little motorbike in town. He's so cute, this guy. Um, so I did some research. I already knew that he was gay in real life and he died of AIDS. I'm not sure if you knew that, but
I did, yeah.
the his name is Timothy Patrick Murphy. Plays Mickey for like a year, I think. He started on Search for Tomorrow. Um, Died in 1988 at 29 years old. He also was linked to Mark Patton from Nightmare on Elm Street too. Apparently, they dated in the 80s.
No, well,
Um, and another tragic story in his life: his younger brother was a part of 9/11. He died in 9/11
that's
in
terrible.
one of the twin towers, and
Ugh,
his name was Patrick Sean Murphy at 36 years old.
that's
So yeah,
terrible.
I know. I'm like, how tragic, this poor family. Like they died so young, and I feel like I think Jack Rambo has a similar story. Like he died pretty young too. I think he at least made it to his early 50s. But
Yeah,
his brother died too. He had a twin brother, and he died pretty close to him too, and like this around the same ages. Or he might have
yeah,
died younger. He might have died years before Dak did. I can't remember. But it's so weird sometimes, like with some like families that this happens in. It's just tragic.
yeah.
Anyway, moving on with a more fun story with with them. He's already given attitude to Ray, and he's not treating Aunt Lil, or his mom,
Mm,
right? Ray's cousin, um, like very nicely. He's just being a dick. Um, Sue Ellen calls South Fork. She's like, "I'm coming home." Clearly, Dusty's, wife made her kind of rush home to JR and John Ross. We have Amos's funeral. Um, while at Amos's funeral, I think he goes to say like talk to his mom's grave, Margaret Krebs.
yeah,
Um, I forget what he says, but I guess nothing much happened there because I have Dusty next. Dusty says he knew Linda his whole life, which I did mention. And he brings up,
with Ray's bit, that was just predominantly a way for him. So a lot of this for Ray is coming back to the beginning, essentially, and it's well, in some ways, it's I guess a false beginning for him because like this was the family, the relatives that he grew up with and knew, thinking Amos was his father, you know, and just the context of his, you know, of his presence at South Fork is different now. Like he's not like making his own life. This is something that he's a part of, you know. And I think there's this weird sort of like Ray's a jigsaw piece that doesn't quite fit into the puzzle anymore
Yeah.
because he's a little awkward with Lil at first, and obviously, that goes away, but it's very much like that, and it's like he almost seems like a stranger in his own hometown,
Yeah.
and I actually liked that. And then the bit with the cemetery, I liked in a way because it was just a way we've never really had Ray interact or talk too much about his mother, and it's
Right.
always been that Jock and the fact that Amos wasn't his dad, and then Jock, Jock, Jock. So like there is this little moment there where I was like, Ray has this quiet little moment with his mum, which I think is um, was nicely done in the context of everything. Like I don't think it's sort of supposed to be this big massive thing. It's just one of those little smaller characterizations that I like in something when you've got like the larger stories at play. Obviously, it's more about introducing his extended family, like Aunt Lil, Michael, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Dusty says he knew Linda his whole life. He brings up his mental impotency, finally, because now he can get it up, because they
Oh
talked about
man,
having kids and.
the old day terminology for things, like it's like it's not just impotency. It's it's just. I'm glad that things are a little bit less like that now when we describe stuff.
Right, and she was like, "Were you
So
pressured with me? You felt pressured and all this stuff." And I guess maybe he did. I don't know. I guess they didn't get their feelings out back then too much. Only Sue Ellen did with Dr. Elby.
well, it was like what I said at the time that they were having these problems and we were watching those episodes. I was like, I was laughing sort of about the whole emphasis on the fact that like and how he's not a man and just the crazy like how full on it was to a degree of the fact just for the fact that he can't get it up. And then I mentioned this story where it's kind of like in his head,
Yeah,
and what was it? They go the pressure. It's not the pressure to necessarily like solely on the pressure to like perform. It's the pressure of their relationship, and so
right.
that by extension ends up affecting your sex life because it's like and I can understand that. Like there was so much instability and uncertainty. JR was coming for them, like yada yada yada. Like yeah, I
Yeah, there's a lot of
completely.
reasons not to get it up.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that would be. There's a lot of reasons why his head might not have been in the game per se. You know?
Yeah, pretty much. JR meets with Punk. They talk about Jock's scholarship. He kind of pushes him. He's like, "Yeah, she'll be fine with it. Whatever. Ellie will be fine."
Yeah, he talks his way
Um,
around. Sort of
mm,
Pucker's a little bit more agreeable.
yeah. Sue Ellen's still not sure about marrying JR. She and Clayton say goodbye. Um, Ray is mowing the lawn. He gets on Mickey about like why doesn't he do this for his mom and all this stuff. Um, Mickey calls Lil a pain in the butt, and Ray kind of like goes off on him. He's like, "Dude, what's your problem?" Like, dude, and I don't know what Donna's problem is here. Do you understand what Donna's take of this? Because she just seems like she doesn't want Ray involved with them or with at least Mickey.
I think it's that thing of Ray projecting his own youth onto it and trying to do the fatherly figure thing.
Mm,
And he even says this because he says something like that about Jock, and she's like, "Yeah, but Jock had 3 other children. Like he already had experience. I think she's just
right.
knowing about the type of responsibility it brings and what that entails with someone who is uh, I mean, I wouldn't say Mickey's really rebelling all that bad, but he's badly rebelling for the time. And so like
Yeah.
you know I can understand trepidation about certain kids in the family if those kids are rats. Okay, like
Right.
it can be difficult to put people on the straight and narrow, especially with someone who is very resistant, like Mickey is. Like he's sarcastic. He's pretty he's clever. So he's like sarcastic, and he turns their logic on them. And you see it.
Yeah.
It's like when they go,
Um,
he's like, And they sit there and think you should be proud to have this job, and he's like, why should I be proud to have the bare minimum? Like
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Like, I sort of understand where Mickey's coming from to a degree, but I understand why Donna is like the I don't think she's like, I don't think she particularly likes Mickey at the moment, anyways. But like,
Yeah.
I think that she's more concerned about where Ray will be. I think it's more about Ray for her.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
I was just confused by her look. She just seemed like a concerned look on her face, like with him.
well, because Ray doesn't want to make a decision. He keeps saying, "Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that," but I'm going to do this first before we go. And she's like, "Well, it'll take more than a few days." And he's like, "I'm going to do it anyway." You know what I mean? Like she's just, I
Yeah.
think she's kind of like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah. And
And
they're
they've got to
kind
go
of
back.
like forced him.
Yeah, and they end up having to go back later anyways, as it'll come up. But yeah, they end up
Yeah.
getting have to be there by a certain time anyway. So
So
I
Cliff and
I
Mac,
don't think it's anything too nasty. I think it's just more in genuine concern and probably a little bit of frustration with Ray's in just like with Ray's flip flopping.
yeah. Cliff and Marilee do business. She wants him at the ball. Um, the Ewings get ready for the ball. At the ball, the fountains are oil wells. I mean, no, I forgot about that.
I didn't.
Um, you remember that?
I did. Too many shots.
Ellie seems happy to be there. She's cool. In her nice peach dress or whatever color that is, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
Um, Bobby is suspicious of JR. He knows he's up to no good. Holly's there, meets Sue Ellen. Bobby and Pam bump into Rebecca and Clayton. Pam gets like kind of excited. She's like, "Ooh, Mom might be with Clayton. Clayton's a good dude."
Yeah,
Um, Punk introduces Frank, who is Dale Robertson from TV's
yeah.
Dynasty first season, to Ellie, and he seems kind of flirty with Ellie, but Ellie's like, "I don't know yet. She's not ready. Clearly, on her for the look on her face, she's just clearly not ready to be
She's sort of
flirted with."
she's sort of flattered, but she's so not ready. And it's I like the way she's able. I like the way she's able to have the expression of she takes the compliment, but the compliment hurts because she's not over Jock yet, you know?
Yeah. They
And
should
it's
have brought
like,
that other guy back. Remember that other guy that caused turmoil for them in the past?
yeah,
I forget his
but like,
name.
I can't remember his name at the moment either. But
No, it
like,
was like
I
season
just think,
3.
no, it's four, wasn't it? That's a copper bullshit.
You brought up Zacapa, drink.
Yeah. But yeah, no, um, I've always liked the way that she's able to sort of mix her expressions and like not be in one whole emotion and one expression. It's cool. And Bobby
She's
she does so well with it.
She really does. I think I got teared up from something. Yeah, at the end of this, I think.
Yeah.
Um, Jr. and Sue Ellen bump into Cliff. Of course, Jr. had to make a comment. Oh, you're gonna write checks out for them too, or don't write them out checks because that's where he screwed over the last company.
Yeah. His
Whatever.
usual stick.
He's such a dick. Apparently, it's a scholarship. 4 people every year are going to go through SMU. I guess it's the college there. I don't remember what it means. I would assume the U is university, but I don't know what the SM would be. Um, Jock Ewing scholarship. The Ewings clap. I think Bobby starts the clap, and JR, then everybody. And it's all cute. Ellie gets up to the stage. Ellie gives a speech, and she says that she will call Harv in the AM at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Leading to Jocksville.
So the whole build up to the ball over this episode, and you've got your other plot lines sort of leaning in and stuff like that. But largely, the episode, it's this thing of like the extension of the grief, of her confronting her grief. So we've got like the season 5 where she finally accepts the man's actually dead. And then, there's that thing of the mourning, and then there's this element of where he's being memorialized in front of her. And it's that surrealness where it's sort of almost full circle. She gets the standing ovation from her speech as well as and yada yada, because
Yeah,
obviously Ewings are respected and loved in the respected in the community. and all that. And then I like all that because her decision at the end to have him declared, which obviously then just immediately leads into what we get in the next 2 episodes, or in pretty much the rest of the season, is like she's feeling full circle enough at least to be like, no, it's time to move forward. Like declaring him dead,
Yeah.
accepting him as dead, and then declaring him legally dead is like, it's just another way of like a it's just her sort of going over her grief and confronting it.
Yeah.
Trying to find my words, of
Um.
course.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I also like too that this episode isn't really Bobby or Pam heavy at all. We're in like maybe 3 scenes over the whole episode, and then that one little bit at the end where Ellie makes her statement and like, "Oh, we can do this." It immediately just puts like Bobby straight in the forefront, in the next episode, more or less.
And I guess this episode, Lucy's just lounging at the house because she's just depressed. They don't even show her in this one, I don't think.
No, I think she appears for like the family will reading. She appears,
Right.
so that's about it. Like,
And even then, that takes Pam to get to her in that, which I like that scene.
is
But
there
yeah,
even? There wasn't even too many scenes with her and Gary.
no, which is why Lucy's upset
Yeah,
later
I
on in
guess.
that episode about it.
Maybe they realized that after editing, and they're like, "Oh shit, maybe we should just write that in there as something that she's pissed off about."
Yeah, Dallas does have so many missed opportunities, as does Knots Landing, where they could have done some cool things, but they don't. Um, yeah, but yeah, it would have been nice to see her just walking around the property, or learning what she went through because Gary doesn't know. Like, it's just
That's the
sad.
thing.
Or wait, does I think Pam did say she talked to him? I think I don't know.
I can't. I
I
swear
can't
there.
remember.
I swear there
I,
wasn't any direct thing about that. Like I swear.
yeah, but I do. I thought I remembered somebody. I think Pam was like, "Oh, I talked to Valine or something." Like I can't remember what it was. But either way,
I
it
might
was a
have missed
missed
that in dialogue.
opportunity.
Yeah, if it was dealt with, I'm usually pretty good with the dialogue stuff, but it's like sometimes little things, plot details are given in dialogue, and yeah, that's
Yeah,
annoying.
like I almost feel like if because I swear Pamela said something about talking to Valine, and if she did talk to Valine, then I feel like Valine should have pushed to come with Gary and had her had a moment with Lucy just to give her
Yeah,
a little nugget,
something.
where Valine could have given her a hug or something
Or at
for
least,
what she's going through.
well, it would have been a way of them showing that, like, despite everything, Lucy can still go to her parents.
Yeah,
Just
Lucy's just
anything that just kind of like layers the relationship a little bit more,
Lucy's just very much alone, and it is really kind of sad when you're watching this. Like she has Pam, like, and that's like it. I don't know, and Bobby, of course, but Bobby's busy doing shit. He's in his own storyline. So episode 5, Jock's will. Harv comes to Southport. Ellie tells him she's ready to go to court and make it official to declare Jock dead, so they can move on with the will and all that jazz. Harv says you got to prove that Jock is dead to the judge. It might be a problem. It could take up to 7 years for anything, which I think JR finds that out later.
Yeah,
Um, Lucy's depressed. She's just in her room, not doing anything. Pam's like, do some work. You got to do something, girl. Like, you're just sitting around. Like, you got to live. Like, what are you doing? And it kind
yeah,
of gets to her. I think she calls Blair, but then, like, Blair isn't there, but it doesn't make her stop, so that's good. It gets her going.
yeah.
Again, she could have used the hug from her mother in the last episode, and maybe that would have helped her. But anyway, it was a cute moment with them. Meanwhile, at Lil's, Mickey rolled out, and Ray kind of asks about him, what's going on with him. Um, Cliff and Rebecca do lunch. Cliff still being a dick to Rebecca. I guess he's
Well,
still.
Rebecca still kind of is like holding that phone, isn't she? Like she keeps sort of like Yeah. I I actually don't mind Cliff over these couple of episodes.
I don't
He's
either, but I mind everybody else though, except for
yeah,
Pam. She's the only one that has his back. But
yeah. I
everybody
kind
else,
of like. I just think that he's like, they're sitting there trying to get him G'd up for this fight, more for a fight, and like the
yeah,
guys just spent like the last 5 seasons doing that, and y'all are just doing it now. Like I get what happened and everything, but like I
right.
like it. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if it's. I think it might actually be the third episode, but I like what Cliff says when he's actually talking directly about it with Rebecca, and it's just like the dude's just trying to get his head straight.
I also think there was a part where Afton got ice cream. I remember he
Mm.
like dropped his ice cream. I don't think that was planned because like she had like a smirk on her face in that part, and I don't think it was planned. And I think, but I could be wrong. It might have been totally
Well,
planned, but
it was the line he delivered too, and then he's all sullen and walks off. And I did see her smile.
she
I was like,
smirked.
yeah, she smirked, and I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder how that. It does actually create a decent layer to the scene. Like I don't know how,
It
like
does.
the smirk doesn't seem like dismissive on her part, or like it seems it's this weird like where she I think she's trying to look frustrated with him, but
Right,
like because of the depression and like the where his head's at and all that. But all his talk beforehand, right? Even though it was a
right,
little bit of not downer, but he was very like realistic, but sort of not a bit negative, you know. And
right.
then but nothing to really give that across until if that was an accident, it was a happy accident because when he's sort of normal, and then that drops and his tone just changes. And he's just like,
Right.
I don't like pistachio anymore. And he just walks off. And it's
Yeah,
like,
she like smirked.
it just, yeah, I don't, if it was, like, improvised, was it worked the best. Like, because
Or it's
it's,
also, or it could have been a
yeah,
great acting spot
yeah,
too. Like
I mean,
if it was
improvisation.
supposed to happen.
Yeah, if it was supposed to happen, it's a great spot. If it isn't, then he did it perfectly. And
Right.
even Audrey Lander's expression is sort of weirdly perfect. You know,
Yeah, it is. Jordan Lee comes in while they're at lunch and with this guy Wade, who's also a part of the cartel. And we find out Wade's going to sell his company. Rebecca gets a light bulb, bing, so we know what's going to go on there.
but it
Um,
was actually weird seeing him without his mustache this time. The Wade guy.
oh yeah, I know. I didn't know who it was for a minute. I was like, oh yeah, that is the other guy. Um,
I always confuse him with Andy Bradley, but Andy Bradley, I think, is the blondie fellow, isn't he?
yeah.
Yeah,
The witness for Jock is in South America. Just as where JR finds out that it will take 7 years to declare Jock dead if they don't get the witness to get there.
yeah.
Um,
Basically, if they aren't able to sort of this like inquest or whatever the hell, this declaration, if they don't have enough info or don't feel like it's substantial enough, then they won't declare him dead. Essentially, they'll just leave
yeah.
it over, like leave everything in limbo. And so, yeah, I
Roche,
think JR ends up scheming to get him into the country because he's in South America.
of course, he has to scheme at every episode.
Yeah,
Ray shows Donna around the town because he grew up there. Mickey is at a gas station working. Apparently, he was arrested for like trying to steal a car and got off by having to like work it off at a gas station in town. Which I'm like, is that a thing? Did they do that back then? I wonder.
I mean, maybe it was back in the day. I mean, community service or something. But I feel like stealing a
Yeah,
car is probably some. I mean, like you don't necessarily always go to jail for stealing a car, but you certainly don't usually
true.
get service. I would think, but
Yeah.
that was
He's a
the
douche
driving
again.
in the 80s.
He's a douche again to Ray. Mentions jail, working off the damages, all that stuff. John Ross visit. Oh my God, Jr. visits John Ross. I think that was all that happened there. And Sue Ellen like listens and hears him like talk to him and how he wants to bring him back to the office and sit in his chair and blah blah blah.
Was this not the scene
Um,
where he then gives her a ring or something as well? I thought there was a bit there where
Not till later.
It was it
I don't
later.
think. Yeah, it was later because that was only there was only I thought that was a weird scene because it was just that
Yeah,
she overheard him.
being
Um,
sweet. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Bobby's Bobby tells Pam if JR gets the company that he's leaving, like him and her are gonna just leave town. She's like, chill out, like you don't even know what's happening yet. Like the will wasn't read. Like how about you wait, see what happens, and go from there. He's like, yeah, you're right. I love the Bobby Pam moments that we do get in these episodes because they're just like together. You know what I mean? Like, and it's rare that we had gotten that in the past. At least for like the past season, I feel like, or season and a half.
Yeah, well, yeah. All fifth season was very heavy on the Christopher adoption and Pam's mental health and stuff. So, it is nice to see them actually being chill.
Yeah, getting along, working together, riding
Yeah,
horses together, all this stuff.
down the
Helping
dance.
Lucy together. Yeah, at the oil barons ball they danced. Um, Punk, Ellie, Frank, and Mavis do dinner, and he's that Frank guy is flirting with her again. She seems very uneasy, as we did talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jr. and Sue Ellen get officially engaged. This is where he gives her that ring.
Yeah,
And he gives her like an invite, and I guess he picked the wedding date, December 3rd,
yeah.
and it was
I think
like
it was just like the delivery of it. Like he's like, come in with it, and actually
it
don't
was
propose
cute.
to her. Yeah, it was a bit cute. Like, yeah.
You don't see that much from him.
Well, you don't see that much
um,
from those two in general because they're not
right?
together yet. But
You really
still.
don't.
Uh,
Um, Ellie calls Ray. She's like, "Court's tomorrow. You don't have to be there, but the will's probably going to be read the next day if everything goes smoothly. So you need to
yeah,
get your ass home." And Ray's like,
yeah,
yeah, all right." He of course wanted to be there for the court, but he's like, "I don't think he'll be able to get home." But she's like, "Well, the will's the most important, so he'll try."
yeah.
Cliff,
She'll be there.
Cliff, yeah. Cliff, Rebecca, Pam, and Bobby do dinner. Pam gets mad because they don't shut up about JR. This is where I think she had Cliff's back because Cliff's like, I don't want to get revenge. Like, I'm over it. Like, he
I
got me
actually
so many
think that
times.
Philip is being deeply sarcastic in this whole bit, the whole time. I feel like Cliff is just sitting there enjoying the food, and they're talking about this, and because he's like, "Mama, so vengeful," stuff like that, and he's just making all these little remarks until they sort of turn around and go, "I want to do this," we can, we can fight the Ewings together, blah blah blah, and he's like, "No, no, 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 none of that."
Yeah,
But I,
right.
I really enjoyed his sarcasm through all this because I just thought, why aren't they listening to him?
I
Just
know. They
listen
really
to him.
don't.
Yeah, they're just like, no, we want to fight. And he's like, yeah, but I don't. And
He's
he is.
over it.
He's still sitting there in that. I like that whole scene because he doesn't miss a bite through it all. Like,
Right, right.
yeah,
He tried to
yeah.
kill himself because of that, man. Like, he's just over it.
Just, yeah, he's over it. Give him a break. But
I
yeah, and
know. And
this
Pam
is the
has
one
his back.
where, yeah, and this is like the one time too, because I think sometimes when Pam gets angry about it, she's being, even though she's might be right, I think sometimes she's unrealistic about the situation. It's like, of course they're going
Right.
to talk, not in this case. This is like, yeah, no, I was totally with her on this. I was like, they need to stop because, like,
Same, same.
yeah,
And Rebecca says she'll stop and whatever, and then I guess they continue lunch.
yeah, they settle down
Um,
and yeah,
Meanwhile, at court, the witness is there. He says he saw Jock's copter crash. They kind of relive going to find Jock, Bobby, and JR and all that. Which JR actually looked genuinely upset when they were reliving, and that's what I was going to mention earlier.
well,
Um,
I like the whole courtroom bit because
yeah,
for Ellie, it's the first time she's actually going to face anything sort of like, it's like, okay, he's dead. Now we're declaring him dead, and now she's hearing how he died. And it's
yeah,
all like that reality hitting. And I think this, though, reflects on the family as a whole because obviously the boys are also affected. And I don't think for a second JR isn't affected by the death of his father. Like, he
yeah,
obviously
for
went to
sure.
the world and declared him dead, but, he loved his dad. So,
Yeah, he does show it in court too. Like you can tell on his face, like he didn't love that.
yeah,
Going
yeah.
through that.
Yeah.
Um, Ray tells Mickey that they're leaving and he wants him to come to South Fork, or I guess wherever his house is. Is it like
Mm.
off? I forget if his house is like off South Fork or whatever.
It's on that section of land.
And
But
so it is on there.
yeah, it's on Southwark still, I'm pretty sure.
Donna's not excited about it, but she's like, "We'll work it out. We'll figure it out." Meanwhile, at court, judge declares Jack dead in the jungles of South America. Um,
Yeah.
Gary's Gary's coming for the will reading. Lucy goes at JR a bit. Sue Ellen is on to JR about the will. She knows that something's up, which I love, because this is when Sue Ellen really like just knows how he is. She's like, I know you know what's in that will."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. What would make you think that?" She's like, she's like, "I can tell the way you're acting. Like, you
And he's
know."
like, oh, I just have an inclination that my he would have provided me for me. And she's like,
Right.
she's like, and I have an inclination that you know what's in there. Like,
Yeah, that's a great moment.
it's like, well, how would I have done that? And he's like, that Harv is like, a good, staunch sort of lawyer. And she's like, oh, I know who Harv is. And but it's like, I also know who you are. Like,
Right.
yeah.
She
It
knows
is a,
him that well. She knows when he's cheating. She just knows like everything. I feel like from basically this season on, she just knows everything.
yeah. She
Um,
even kind of knows later in the season, but won't accept it. And that's why it's bad. That's why it's
right.
real bad. I think for me, that you've got like the mental health, like the drinking and the mental health stuff from earlier, like how she was during the pregnancy. I think it's like bad then, really bad
Yeah.
then. That the show, not that the show didn't carry the weight, but the show by seasons by that point, it's got all that history, and then you see these characters doing so well, and then you see it fall apart, and you can feel the weight. I remember the scene when she. I remember that scene. I've always really liked it.
Yeah.
Not so much the reveal, but her afterwards, like just after it, she's just kind of like, just like kind of despondent, like she's just defeated, and she
Yeah.
just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's so friggin' sad. But yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
to that. But yeah,
Eventually. Um, Mickey goes with Ray and Donna, so he's coming to South Fork. Gary returns, concerned about Ellie. I love that he's always like, that's his number one. He's like, "How are you, mom?" Like he's
mm,
like there for her, which is why that's her baby. Um, Mickey talks shit about Ray's career. Ray tells him who his real father is, because I guess he feels he needs to know.
mm.
Um, we have the well reading. Um, is South Fork? Oh yeah, South Fork is Ellie's. She gets $50 million and all the other bullshit that's invested or whatever.
And the
The four
property.
boys, the four boys get $10 million. Lucy gets $5 million. Gary is limited for 4 years for his money. At least he left them the same amount.
Mm.
um, Jock. Jock apparently had updated the will in South America with Punk as a witness. I guess he knew he was on his way out. I don't know.
The amount of times that I remember, so there's this bit here where it's great, sort of here, but as time goes on, they use Jocks a little bit too much for like these little extras that they want to bring in. Like there's all these codicils or these extra things that come in. I'm like,
Yeah.
where is the actual fucking will? Like,
Right.
which is the real
It's
one?
it's probably been updated and so many times because he
Well,
probably gets rid of one son when he's mad at them and all
well,
that
what
stuff.
I mean is like the South America bit drives me nuts a little bit because it's like at one point you have Puck explaining the reasoning later on, right? And how it's harsh, but it makes sense. But then you have Puck later on in the series at one point explaining how Jock was like sort of like all fevered and like riddled with malaria or whatever the hell. Like it's just it flip flops sometimes in the latest. I swear it does. Like, and it's always like because I personally don't think that Jock would have done this in his will, but they needed something to do the stories the way they did.
Right. Right.
And it's like, okay, and I say that in the broader context of what the will does. Like, not right now. Right now, you're like, huh, okay, and then season 7 happens, and they read the extra bit to the will where Jock explains his reasonings and about how the boys it was supposed to teach the boys and blah blah blah.
Right.
But then other shit comes out later as well, and I'm like, this will needs to be burnt. Like,
I feel
oh
like
my god.
also kind of do that here and there.
They do, but I just think Jock's will gets a bit overused in time.
So on Days, they just found you're not in this. Well, last year, um,
Yeah,
the
far
Horton
away.
house,
Oh, wow.
the Horton house burnt down, and Tom and Alice had made a I forget what those boxes are called. It's like when you put a bunch of stuff in a box and you save it for like 40 years from now, and you'll find I
Okay.
forget what a time capsule or something.
Yeah.
But it was in the house, so it was found after the house got burned down. So now, like, the storyline is coming from that. So it's like they come up with like the craziest shit just to like keep their memories alive in a way.
But there's only so many times you can legitimately expand on a will before it just becomes a sequence of nonsense. Where,
Right,
like,
right. Well, this isn't a will; it's a little bit different, but on Days
yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Well, I just meant like
um,
a will estimate. There's only a certain amount that he could possibly have done, and like there's just stuff that happens later that seems to come out of nowhere.
right. So the rest of the will, I guess, is it says it's between Bobby and Jr. to run the company equally. After a year, there'll be a second audit, which Punk will be in charge of, and that son will win 51%. And it's only between Jr. and Bobby because Gary's the shit son that nobody cares about except for Ellie.
Yeah.
Um, Ray's like illegitimate, whatever.
No, it was more
Um,
that. Well, it says in the will that they even. I think it wasn't even. So it was more that they never were interested. So Jock
right,
says in the will, they've never displayed an
right. They
aptitude or.
never showed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and they have a toast to Jock's picture, and we see the portrait of Jock at the end.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
which leads. Oh,
I was gonna say they focus heavily on Bobby and JR in that shot too, the opposing things with the picture in the middle.
mm-hmm.
They actually do
Which
that shot a lot over the course of the series.
oh god, yeah. And then they eventually moved the portrait to the company. I forget
Yeah.
when though. I was after Clayton's
Um,
there.
yeah, it's when Clayton marries Miss Ellie eventually.
Yeah. Which leads into episode 6, Aftermath. Bobby and JR already like go at things. Like they're already hitting it up, trying to like work out whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
Um, so Ellen tells JR that um, he knew it was in the will. She says it again. Pam thinks what Jock did is unfair. Bobby says he's going to fight for the company for his son. Donna and Ray discuss Jock's will. He's glad he doesn't have to fight with his family, which is very Ray. Ewing's meet up with Harv to split everything equally. Lucy's upset Gary didn't seem interested in her when he came there, which is what we talked about. They didn't have any scenes together besides being at the well reading.
Yeah.
Ellie worries about JR and Bobby. JR goes to the office um, with flowers for his secretaries, which was very nice. We got Kendall, the secretary to the secretaries. And then we have Phyllis and Sly. JR says he wants to be fair and square with Bobby, and Bobby just leaves because he knows that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Afton tells Cliff to leave JR alone. I forget what Cliff did. Why did she ask him that?
This is probably after Catherine came in and said that she bought Thingo's company.
Oh, right. She said, I think this is when that JR finds out that she got the
No, she's saying that she doesn't have the oil for the refineries that they just bought. Like they've done the purchase,
oh right.
and he's like annoyed at her for stuffing around. Like, why didn't you just tell me that? And she's like, well, because I'm still the owner and I'm going to do what I want.
Okay.
That's why she
I
didn't
don't
tell him.
even know.
Yeah. So like, but she's made the purchases, but she's like, I don't have a level of oil to refine it. And he's like, well, you will have, and that's when we see Walt Driscoll start to approach the boat.
Yeah, so Walt Driscoll, what I remember his name. I
He's
don't
a
remember.
huge deal. He's a huge deal at the end of the season.
Yeah, what does he do? Oh, yeah, I remember what happens. But he offers him something. Is he? I forget what it was. But he's there with Holly and JR on the boat, right?
Yeah.
But I don't.
Basically, JR wants him to. So JR wants to start pumping at max level from sort of like the wells that are his in the big old Ewing oil split. He wants to increase production beyond what they would normally let him anyways. And Walt Driscoll doesn't really understand why, because like everybody's kind of holding on to what they have now because of the prices, yada yada yada. And JR wants to he wants to exceed the regulatory limit of drilling. Sorry, of like
Right.
pulling it out of the ground. And Walt is just essentially said, "Nah, I'm not just going to do that on a whim," And because he's the head of the OLM, which, as we know, is the Office of Land Management that Cliff ran a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
So they do things like they approve drilling and blah blah blah. Well, yeah, basically he just wants to increase his output, and Walt is sort of like, well, there's no real reason like that you can't sort of do that, but it has to do with like the amount that JR wants to pump. He can increase it just normally without having to tell anybody really. Like I think he said you can just talk to this person and it's fine. And he's like, yes, but I want to go further than that. And it's like, well, why? And like basically Walt's just like, it's shady. I'm not he doesn't say it's shady, but he's getting the vibe. And it's like, I'm just
Right.
not gonna
Right.
just do that for you. So JR's
Mm,
like, okay, and starts setting it up.
plotting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or having him
Well.
murdered
Yeah. Exactly.
and
I was
researched.
gonna say getting his investigator man on him.
Yeah,
Lucy meets with Blair for a job. He says, I think she wants a lady photographer. He's like, yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's a good idea. Because we know what happened with the last photographer, who was a male.
yeah,
Um, Rebecca buys Wade's company.
yeah.
Bobby meets with dudes about a deal, some investment, and he got to act quick. I don't know who these guys were.
I can't remember their names, but they're a huge thing at the end of the fight for Ewing Oil.
Yeah, so they're both kind of like
No,
working their shit.
this is what so this is a long play deal. So this happens, and then from what I remember, is more or less not forgotten about, but largely left under the radar right up until the sort of end of season 6, early season 7, when
Mm,
the time limit for the competition is like drawing to a close is when that matters. But these fellas do, especially the baldy fella, he appears, I'm fairly certain we do hear from them off and on, and they do raise it up, but it's not a focus proper until later, as far as I remember.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So that
Um,
I think that it's just heavy foreshadowing in that regard.
Clayton and Sue Ellen hang out. She says she will fight for JR if she has to, if anybody goes against them, because now, she's going to be Team JR again.
Well, it's also too
Um,
because now that everybody knows the news, people are either congratulating JR or others are getting worried and are all like sort of like getting into the cahoots with each other.
yeah, and she has to protect John Ross's, investment in the company as well in the future.
Mm.
This is probably why they had that moment in that other episode when she heard him talking to John
Yeah.
Ross, which I just put that together as we talked about it. All right, now it makes sense. Um, so Pam tells Bobby about Chris's adoption date. They have an
Mm.
adoption date, and he gets all excited. It's really cute. Rebecca comes by Cliff and Afton's. He makes some remarks. He's like running. He's like, "What do you want me to run the company into the ground?" She's like, "Use it against Jr. if you want." He's like, "Nope, ain't gonna do it. I'm not doing that."
Well, I actually
Um,
I like this bit here too because Cliff sort of turns around. He's like, "Look, I really appreciate the confidence. It feels good and all that." And he's like, "I'm not
yeah,
trying to be flippant, but I can't take another beating." Essentially, he's like,
yeah,
this, and that's fair. Like, he's just, I can't get into the fight like that. I just can't do it again.
yeah. Um, Ellie voices her concerns to Jr. Wants a
That's
fair
when we get
fight.
that scene. That's when we get that scene with Afton and Clip later. Sorry, I just wanted to interject it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's coming. Um, Wants a fair fight. She says no dirty tricks. Ellie's trying to be cool with Jr. Because remember, he was supposed to leave, but he never did.
No. What did he freaking do? Bobby's
He
the
wasn't
only
leaving.
person left was Gary.
Right. Um, Pam comes to Rebecca's with the news of the adoption as well. Pam's not happy with Rebecca's plan to get JR. She's like, this isn't going to be good. Don't do it. This is where Afton tries to sway Cliff to take the company for himself. And that's where they have the ice cream moment.
Yeah.
Um,
I think her advice is like legitimately good because he obviously,
it is.
yeah, Cliff sort of thrives under those sort of in those positions and stuff like that.
Right.
And I guess like the thing is it's really hard, even for the viewer, I think, to be able to separate Cliff's business thing from his hatred with JR because it's been so ingrained. So it was nice having a character being like, there's nothing that says that you have to do this.
You don't, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you don't actually have to fight the guy. You can just take the company and do what you want with it.
And make it your
After,
own.
yeah, not
Yeah,
making it about JR, which is exactly,
exactly.
yeah, exactly what he needs to listen to.
And she could have been his secretary. It could have all been wonderful.
She would have been, honestly, Afton would have just backed him as his wife. Like, they would have got, and all that. Like,
Yeah,
she completely would have been 100%.
yeah. Sergeant McSwain comes to see JR. I
Mm-hmm.
guess he looked into Walt Driscoll, found nothing, but they found out that his wife can't drive. And I guess they're gonna, or can't drive well.
Well,
Like,
dangerously. She dangerously
yeah,
drives.
dangerously drives. Um,
The
and
way
that's
JR
it.
said it sounds like he's going to set up like a hit and run.
I think that might happen. I believe, and
I
that's where
figured it
he
was, but I
gets.
just couldn't remember the scheme exactly. Like, I just couldn't remember the exact scheme.
I
But
couldn't. You know, that's funny. I didn't until you said that, and I'm like, I think that's exactly what it is. Because
yeah,
as for a minute, I was like, what is he going to do with that? Like,
I'm
he
pretty
always
sure. Yeah,
got
I'm
something.
fairly certain he sets her up, and then Walt's like
Yeah,
indebted to him. It's like it's not just a traffic infringement either, because apparently his wife's been kind of lucky in the sense that she hasn't actually been convicted of anything, and it's like
right.
you can't really do that if someone gets hit, can you? You know.
Mhm. So yeah, that's my last note. I thought these were good episodes.
I actually
Fun.
liked them. I thought they were really nicely played off each other really well.
Yeah,
Like they introduced the ball and they had that big old homage and tribute to like Jock and everything, and that's the first oil barons ball we see. That one was like all
yeah,
elegant and actually nice. They get real bitchy later, but like
yeah.
becomes
I
more of
still,
like a barbecue vibe.
I still can't believe we're in season 6 because I'm like, I always remember. I always thought like Bobby and Pam were like apart by now, and I know it's
Yeah,
coming, but like,
it's
it,
from what I remember, it's a progressive breakdown over the season.
but I'm glad they lasted as long as they did. So they lasted at least 6 seasons, which is good.
Well, if you want to look at their actual, yeah, no, I don't think they even get divorced until either late season or next season.
Yeah,
The marriage lasted like a good 6 years, which is insane for Soapland.
they're rough seasons too. Because it was one thing, like when we talked about Knots Landing before, and you're like, who would ever marry Gary? I was watching like, I watched one of our things, and I remember you said that,
Yeah,
but I felt like it worked for Knots Landing to keep Val and Gary apart for as long as they did, because by the time they got together, like Gary, I feel like learned like a lot. You know what I mean through the years, and by
I
the
would hope
end, I feel
so.
like, huh?
I would hope so.
Right. And I felt like by the time they did get together, I think it was season 12, um, that that I actually did want them together because I didn't want them together either because like you said, why would you want like and I liked
It's more
Val
of
and I
why
didn't
does
want her.
Val want to marry him, you know? Like, granted, like, I sort of generally joke because Gary cheats on everyone and all that, but, like, I mean particularly, Valine. Like, I'm sorry, but after your whole life and the man can't get it together, fuck him off. Like, him, you got kids out of him, cool. I know
But
it's not,
that's her. But
like,
that's the love of her life. That's her first love. It's
oh my
the
god.
romanticism of it.
Uh, yeah, and they romanticize the toxicity too. That's why people think that when they say passion, what they mean is toxic. But like,
Well, no, I mean that's why by the time that they did get together, the toxicity was gone. It was all out. Everything was
I was
done.
definitely better. Definitely better.
He
I
was
actually think.
right. He was better. He was done.
Mm,
His shit. Valine was ready for him finally because at certain points she wasn't really like she was like She didn't want to get back with him here and there.
yeah,
And they banged
it
a couple
sort of
times.
annoyed me. It sort of annoyed me a bit. Like, don't get me wrong. I know like that they played it well, but with Knots, I like Marlene was such a sweet person. Like, I sort of think of that character, and I'm like, how could anybody go out of their way to hurt her? Because, like, she was such a lovely person. Like,
Yeah.
when she gets upset and all that, and she goes to the beach because it's become a special place because she's never fucking seen one. Like, that's so cute and sweet. I'm like, who could ever do something like cheat on her or hurt her like that? I'm like, oh, poor Val.
But we got to see the Gary that Jock and JR didn't get along with.
Mm. Yeah, the
That was the
7.
problem with them.
Which, by
Right.
the way, I think creates a bit more of a layer into the situation in Southport that nobody ever really wants to look at. It's always like, oh, JR just drove Gary out. He absolutely did. But Gary was a massive addict who would have
Yeah.
been horrendous to live with, who had the means and opportunity all the time to be able to feed his habit. So
And
if
he
you're
was
looking at
not
it on any level of realism,
but
but yeah,
remember too, he was not only just an alcoholic, he was addicted to highs. Like if the
mm,
business deal, that's what made him and Abby like bang. Like he was addicted to
yeah,
the high of a business deal. Like he wasn't even drunk. So
yeah, yeah,
like that alone and maybe like cheating was a high for him. Like that's and
yeah.
not getting caught. And then when he got caught, he was just like, "Oh, it's you
And
know,
I think in a way they play it off somewhat well because like he cheated and he ended up getting with Abby and they stayed together, but then he ends up
right,
cheating in another relationship, and it's like, well, where does that end though? Like, so it's not really because I like the way because I have to watch it again, but I remember the way Val and him split up at the beginning, and Gary's kind of douchey and kind of half blames her for it. But
yeah."
it's like, when you keep throwing your dick around, though, bro, you can't keep blaming the person. Like, but
I
yeah, no,
always felt I
yeah,
always felt like Gary and Abby deserved each other. I like didn't really like them as a couple, but I just felt like they were both
I loved it.
assholes
I
and they
loved it.
belonged together.
Gary drove me nuts.
Yeah,
Like, I love
I
that.
understand why.
I love the character overall. It's just, I
Right,
just think
right.
he's a dirtbag. Like,
He is. I mean, Mac's the good guy for the most
yeah,
part until he's
yeah,
stupid.
yeah.
But
Uh,
anyway, back to Dallas. Yeah,
yes.
I'm excited to get some more. We're gonna be, I guess, episode 7, 8, and 9 will be our next
So
ones.
they're
So we're
leading
already gonna be.
into they're leading into the fight now, and we're at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll be getting close to mid-season within the next episode, like in the next podcast or two. So I imagine the next few episodes will be pretty hectic in terms of like getting things rolling.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm keen. It's so end of season is fantastic in the show.
Yeah. All right. Well, if nothing else to say, I will wrap this episode up. Um, Thank you for joining us today. Subscribe, like, and comment. Did you watch Dallas season 6? Do you like who's your favorite characters? So thank you, Patreon subscribers. If you're watching us months before, that means you're a Patreon subscriber. We love you. And we love you regular subscribers, which you'll see this like in 6 months.
Yeah.
so thank you all. We love you all. And join us next time with more Dallas season 6.